Greetings everyone, Slizzle466 here, and in today's video we're looking at some of the best wild Alterac Valley decks from day 2 of the expansion. If you missed my day 1 video, you'll find that link in the description below. We start off with Aggro Druid by Oxykid. Now I love me some Aggro Druid, huge fan. This is running Iron Deep Trog, which really messes up spell decks pretty hard. You can buff it off in Biggin, you can buff it on board. It's just an incredible card. And you've also got Drekthar. Drekthar just pulls stuff from your deck, which is great. It's a great aggro card. Basically Call to Arms in a way for Aggro Druid. So yeah, really solid list. Definitely try it out. Now this next list, this is a list. So this is a Jade Druid. It's called Jade Druid because there's one Jade idol in it. But if you scroll through here, it's kind of your everyday Druid you tend to see. You've got all your early game draw and removal. You've got your Oaken Summons. In this case, we're going for Vargoth and Injured Marauder. You've got your Poison Seeds because even locks are still pretty annoying. There's a Wing Commander Mulveric in there. That's an interesting one. I guess it's kind of cool to play with a Spreading Plague, or maybe with a bunch of Jades on board. That's an interesting one. There's the Wild Heart Guff in there, which I haven't opened yet in a pack or crafted. Interesting choice. There's a Mutinous in there. You know, questline decks are pretty annoying, so why not? And then there's Double Yogg. And a Malagosa Spellweaver. So this is not a Celestial Alignment deck. This is based around the Wild Heart Guff. But yeah, I haven't tried this deck. It looks really, really fun. So if you have all the cards, definitely give it a try. Moving to Hunter, we've got Secret Hunter by Getmeowth. This is pretty normal. So, you know, pretty Secret Hunter, it's pretty set in stone how it works. It's just not the best deck ever. However, it did get a ton of support from the Alterac Valley expansion. You've got Dun, Baldur, Bunker. 2 mana at the end of your turn, draw a secret, set its cost to 1. This lasts for 3 turns. Ice Trap, when your opponent casts a spell, return it to your hand, to their hand instead. It costs 1 more. Pretty insane. You've got Drekthar again, pull stuff out of your deck, Spring the Trap, remove minions and cast secrets from your deck, and if it's an honorable kill you cast 2. And there's a Beastalker Tavish in there because it's just a solid card. So if you want to play some Secret Hunter, this would be one of the best ways to do so. Moving on to Mage, we have Ignite Mage, and this is a slightly different list than you may have seen in the past. It is not the candle, elemental-based list that you typically see. It's instead relying on cheating things out with Drekthar and reducing the cost of everything in your hand with Siphon Mana. So this is actually kind of more behaving like the Flamewaker Mage, but there's no Flamewaker in there. But yeah, you just cycle through your deck like crazy and just go off and play a billion cards, and during that process, play Ignite a lot and win the game. There's also Open Away Gate in there, I should mention. Just gives you an extra turn if you need to. This deck typically doesn't do anything on turn 1, so it's nice just to get that quest out there to get the extra turn. Okay, Priest. We have a Priest deck. It's a combo Priest. This is kind of a cool one. So again, Drekthar. Drekthar's in a lot of decks, gotta say. So Drekthar pulls stuff out of your deck, which is always nice. Looking through the combo here. So the combo, if you're not familiar with how this deck works, you basically get a minion on the board, you buff it to some ridiculous amount of health. You do that using your Powered Shields, your Divine Spirits, your Powered Feast, and you can do that at a discounted rate with the Radiant Elemental. But in this case, you don't see the Inner Fire. And that's because instead we're running Bless. 2 mana, give a minion +2 health, then set its attack to be equal to its health. So yes, it costs the mana more, but you've got Radiant Elementals, you've got Palm Readings, you've got Nazmani Bloodweavers going on, so there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with this list. Looking at Paladin, this is a slightly different build of Handbuff than I featured in the previous video. This is a list by Ben from work. And again, the Iron Deep Trog, a super irritating card to deal with for a spell deck such as Questline Hunter or APM, Ignite Mage, for example. But basically, you're just buffing your hand out of control, specifically trying to buff the Stone Dusk Boars to some horrendous amount. It's a pretty very strong list. Ben from Work hit a really high rank. It's also running a Light Forged Cariel, and for some reason I own it. I guess I got it in a pack. So if you need a reason to play this, there you go. But I haven't played this deck myself, to be honest. But it seems to synergize well, and this might give you a better chance in the late game if the meta slows down a little bit. Okay, moving to Shaman, we have Galakron Shaman. This is a very different version than the previous one that I featured. So this version, it's going in on, of course, all the Galakron synergies. You've got your typical removal tools for control Shaman decks, your Flurgle and your Toxfin. You've got your Sleep Breakers. In this case, this deck isn't running Wind Chill, and I guess you don't need to if you just get them off the Sleep Breaker, which kind of makes sense. Healing Rain, because you just get dumped on by the Questline deck so hard, so you need a way to live. The Burst is a little greedy, but it's in there. But otherwise, it's pretty refined. Pretty sensible build of Galakron Shaman. Looking at Shadowwalk Shaman, so this list by NHL. So a lot of players are realizing that if you want to, so like unlike the previous deck, which went all in on the Galakrons, at the really top end legend, they're starting to realize that maybe just cut all the Galakron stuff from the deck and just go more all in on the frost synergies that have been introduced. So in this case, again, this time you've got the double Wind Chill, you've got the double Sleep Breaker. There are Wind Furies in here. Wind Fury is in there to buff onto the Snowfall Guardian. So you can see it's got a pretty aggressive shell. It kind of tops out at Lower Theb and the Guardians, and then Shadowwalk, of course. But basically, with this build, you're just basically freezing your opponent's board every turn so they can never attack. In the meantime, building up your own board. So it looks like Freeze Shaman is a now legitimate archetype. And last of all, we have Mechathune Warlock by Larat. So why is Mechathune Warlock coming back in the meta? Well, there's a couple of reasons. One of them is the Dread Lich Tamsin. It's a new hero where it clears the board a little bit, shuffles rifts into your deck, and these rifts help you draw cards. And also the Tamsin itself draws cards. But basically, you do the old Warlock, draw through your entire deck, discount a lot of stuff with the Rod, and then basically cheat out the Mechathune from your hand with the Vol'jin, and then at this point you should have nothing in your deck or your hands, or you just play Cataclysm, everything goes away, and you win. Pretty good. So that's my report for day 2 of the Wild Meta. If you want to try out any of these decks for yourself, you'll find all the deck codes in the description below. If you're a mobile user and it's difficult to get those codes out of YouTube, there's an easier to type link to my Discord. You can join my Discord, go to the deck lists only channel. you'll find it much easier to copy and paste the decks in there. Otherwise, if you want to support this channel, you can click the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and until next time, hope to see you again.